School District of the City of Harper Woods Board of Education. Today's date is May 20, 2014. It's a little after 7 o'clock p.m. If everybody could please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At least in the room of John, we know we have a flag.
Or our state legislature.
Fair enough.
Okay, we've got 6 members present. Mrs. Menino sent a message this afternoon. She may be late. She had a family commitment some distance away, and she's hoping to get here soon. We have an agenda, an original agenda. Do we have a motion to accept that agenda?
Motion.
Do we have support?
Support.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The agenda is approved, 6-0. First item on that agenda is the consent agenda, which includes minutes from our regular meeting of April 29, a workshop of May 6, and a special meeting of May 12th, all of this year. The expenditure reports for the month of April of this year, and a new hire, Crystal Forbes, as the color guard coach at the secondary campus. Does any member wish to have any item removed from that consent agenda? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Consent agenda is approved, 6-0. Next matter on the agenda is correspondence. Mr. Keene, have we received any?
Just a few, they've all been forwarded to the board members.
Great, thank you. That brings us to 7.0, and in particular 7.1, which are the district activities, and we'll start off with Beacon. Ms. Gottslieben, you want to tell us what's going on over at Beacon?
Certainly. Good evening, everyone. The sun is finally shining and life is good
Hey.
at Beacon. Beacon recently participated, or I should say is participating in the state's online pilot assessment. 2nd and 3rd grade took the science and social studies last week. We had about 8 staff members, classroom teachers, Mr. Rabideau, Mr. Hopkins, Mrs. B and Mrs. Crane, and other, some of the parapros were in. And basically we get no results from these tests, we just get to watch student behavior, really. We get to watch how our technology works. There's a lot of tools, kids can cross out, highlight, flag questions, kind of watch them take the test. Were they reading? How fast were they clicking? Then we had a little debriefing with the students afterward, real interesting. It was so easy, it was so hard. So lots of different reaction. Tomorrow it's K1, help us. So we're gonna watch our babies take this test online. So it's been a great experience. Francis really helped to get the computers up and running, and I believe we had no real technical issues, but we really see how grueling the social studies and sciences. So it really gives us a goal for next fall as we have some vocabulary, some things that we took lots and lots of notes. Next Wednesday, we will be debriefing as a staff on what we saw, any ahas that we had. So we'll finish up tomorrow at the end of the day. So that was kind of a great opportunity for us, the state gave us. And thanks, Mr. Rabideau, for setting that up for us. Our carnival was a great success in spite of the rain. The ponies did not come. I was concerned we had to cancel by 10 because of the wet grass, and I know ponies sometimes on wet grass get slippery. Didn't really want to chance that with children on the back. So our ponies didn't come. We didn't get all our blow-ups blown up, but you know what? We had a great time. I want to say a really special thank you. I had 25 NHS students there. I have never in all my years had the caliber of kids that came over, worked our games, never complained. We fed them beforehand. That was a great, so they got to eat. Chartwell's for the food and the financial support. So it was great. Kelly Morrison is here. She is the circus queen of the world. I can't tell you how Mrs. Morrison, she continually steps up, but certainly for the circus. No, it was a carnival slash. Yeah, that was a slip. But she's just cool and calm, and for a week I'm like, we got this, and it was just an amazing opportunity for our families. Our last movie night was last Friday. We watched Frozen, not a big crowd, but a good crowd, and Joe Menino came and watched. She said, you have to watch Disney with children, so I appreciated her coming and supporting that. And again, NHS, I had 4 amazing kids who monitored bathrooms, sold the snack packs, helped clean up, put out chairs. Amazing group of kids. I can't, please let whoever know. I mean, I told Mrs. Thrasher how amazing these kids are. They're going to come back for our Moving On picnic, our field day. They just, when else do you need us? So it's like, wow, wonderful. Our volunteer appreciation is next Wednesday, May 28th, a week from tomorrow at 9:15. I'd like to extend an invitation to all of you, because basically you volunteer your time to Harperwood School District. So 9:15 at Beacon. It's just going to be, a light tea and toast. So please feel free if you can stop in. We'd love to, acknowledge what you do for us all in the time you spend. As always, we have many year-end events, picnics and movies, pool parties, but the big one, kindergarten celebration, June 11th at 1 here in the high school auditorium. So if you want to have a tear, you need to come to our kindergarten celebration. What a wonderful event. And this venue always allows for a couple hundred family members, and the children are decked out like never before. I think, above and beyond. So it's really a wonderful experience. We are getting our summer school kits ready to be distributed to all of our students. One of the things I added at Beacon was asking parents to sign a contract that kind of says, I will make sure these activities are finished and come to the 3 check-in dates, those dates, and I'll be sending this home to parents so you don't have to write these down, but July 10th, the 31st, and August 24th, or excuse me, 21st. Parents will be asked to bring their students' work up to the middle school wing, and they'll just be checked, and there'll be a movie ticket or a pool party pass or a skating ticket to kind of as an incentive to bring up your work, and if there's anything that needs to be addressed at that time. So please, parents out there, I'm going to send home, I'm going to do a little assembly for those children I haven't heard from. I'm going to have the kit in my hand and put a few carrots out there, because I really want 100% participation. And then of course our traditional summer school, that's an eligibility format, so those parents will be contacted for this summer school up here at the high school. And our teacher professional development, June 16th will be the week of June 16th. We'll be doing lots of math focus again this year, as we did last year, and I want to extend a thanks to all of our elementary teachers who are going to spend that extra week after school gets out for our kids, to really hammer down some of the math curriculum that we started tackling this year. There's a lot of Common Core, unwrapping some of those standards, kind of looking at the modules and fine-tuning some of those pacing guides and assessments. So, and I want to say farewell, I'll say that in a little while, to Mr. Dushan and Mr. Wedlow. Our focus room director is now going to be working for the U.S. Post Office. So we will be looking for a new focus room director next fall. Now, because Mrs. Van is on her honeymoon somewhere in the Rocky Mountain, Smoky Mountain, Rocky Mountain, Smoky Mountains. She's a
Circuses, carnivals.
Whatever. Tomato, whatever. So I'm going to do the Tyrone. May I do the Tyrone update?
Go ahead.
I'm going to read verbatim so I don't get anything wrong. It says, hard to believe that we have only 1 month left of school. Staff and students are working extremely hard. We have a lot of activities coming up. 6th grade picture is May 20th, and the high school jazz band is coming over to perform on May 23rd at 9 a.m. They will also be there at Beacon on that same day, I forgot to say, but at 1 o'clock. Character dinner is May 28th at 5:30 for students who qualified for at least 5 of the 7 PBIS monthly rewards. Tyrone Band students will be performing on May 29th at 2 o'clock for our students and at 7 o'clock at the high school. We also completed the Girls on the Run program. This was a mentoring program where we partnered with YMCA. We had several staff members running the group, Mrs. Rogers, Mrs. Cook, and Mrs. Taffel-Whitey. The girls participated on Sunday and did a 5K run for the program, and Mrs. Corker will tell you how it went since her daughter Gracie was part of the program. We will be participating in this program again next spring. 5th grade will be going to Greenfield Village on the 1st and 2nd, depending on the classroom, and 6th grade will be going to the Tigers game on June 5th. We will also be having our 3rd grade orientation on the 5th of June from 1:30 to 3:15. Awards assembly for the school will be June 11th at 9 o'clock. It'll be up here. We're going to share that day. And 6th grade completion ceremony will be directly following that program. We also have a special luncheon and a get-together in the afternoon for our students. And field day this year is on the last day of school, and report cards are also sent home on that day. Any questions?
I have a question about Beacon. What type of activities or work should parents be looking forward to in the summer packets?
There's a Common Core ELA. It's a workbook type. It has it paced out the days. There's a answer key in the back in case they need it. And there's also a math. And then we're going to also send home 4 to 6, depending, nonfiction informational books that the children can keep. We want the parents, we're going to send home a little guide of how to read that book with your student.
Are you doing the check-in days again?
Yes, yes.
How much time should a parent plan on, either daily or weekly, over the summer to accomplish this?
Well, there's some research out there that will tell you their age plus 2 to 4 minutes. So if you have a 5-year-old and you add 4 minutes to that, you're looking at, I would say, 10 to 15 minutes at a time. A 5-year-old doesn't have a long attention span. Research shows, for example, speech and language, where the old traditional model was, the 40-minute in the speech and language room. What they're finding is the 10 to 13-minute, 3 times a day, is more effective than these 30 or 35-minute, and that's speaking strictly for speech and language. So having been a kindergarten teacher myself, I will tell you, you can have a 5-year-old's attention for about 15 minutes, 15 to 16, and those are those intense brain activity moment, high brain, and then you have to do something, dance, change colors, do something, and then go back at it. But you got it, that. So if you have a 9-year-old, add another 5 minutes. You're really looking at 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes, I would say, to really get your bang for the buck.
Just what you're saying, to do this multiple times?
Couple times a day, I would say. So, spending a good hour, but break it up.
Okay. Are you going to include what you just?
Yeah, I'll have all that in the packet, in the kit, in the bag. We'll have directions on all that.
Just so that parents have an idea of what,
It's a good point, yeah.
what kind of a commitment and what to plan for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned your volunteer celebration, appreciation celebration. How successful were you at getting volunteers this year? And are you going to need new recruits for next year? Will some of those be moving on?
Yes, I have a kindergarten teacher in the group, and I know kindergarten uses center helpers every week, I think 3 times a week, and then some. I know 1st grade likes to have parents reading with their students. 2nd grade uses them for school store. 3rd grade uses, reading tutors. So yes, we will always need volunteers. And it doesn't have to be a mom or a dad. It can be an auntie. We have a grandma who comes in who wants to spend some time. So yes, volunteering at Beacon is always a high priority. Mm-hmm. Last year we had about 35 volunteers that came to our tea. And those are, invited. They somehow enhance the learning at Beacon in some way, either a classroom helper, a field trip person. You know, we have our ever faithful Grandma Hall, who just is, you know, a staple for us. So, you know, we put everyone and anyone to work, even our high schoolers. You know, our college kids come back and, you know, occasionally want to help in the classroom. Miss Mascaren's son comes, and so we have several examples of coming back and giving back. So, yes, thank you for asking.
Maybe I missed it, but in the Tyrone update,
Yes.
I'm not sure that, was there any mention of the summer packets for Tyrone?
You know, there wasn't, but I know thank you for that. She is sending home school-wide kits as well. Hers are also in ELA and math. I'm not certain, but I also think she sends home some type of a reading journal or book. She also incorporates a writing journal, I believe. There are certain writing components in it. And I know that Tyrone, you must finish the packet, and it's for a grade. So if you don't have your packet in the fall, you start out with a 0 I'm not sure how they score that at Tyrone, but it's a failing grade. So, you know, let's start out the year with an A. I mean, it's an easy A to start, you know. Whereas for Beacon, we don't give those types of grades, but I'm using more of a contract. And so, yes, those kits will go out to Tyrone. Same check-in dates.
That's my next
Yeah.
question.
Same check-in date, same time, same incentive, just to kind of, you know, keep it.
So
keep
if a family has a child at Beacon and a child at Tyrone, they can accomplish the check-in all at once.
Exactly.
At the same place.
Yes, yes. Anybody else?
Do you remember how many check-in days we had last year?
There are 3. There were 3 check-in dates, and we had a culminating picnic. If you had all 3 check-in dates, there was a picnic. We haven't landed on that yet, but I am assuming we will have some type of an end of the summer picnic for those 3 check-in dates. Sometime certainly after the August 21st is our last check-in date. That's a Thursday, so I'm assuming our picnic will probably be the 22nd, again over at Johnson Park, like we did last year. That will all be on both packets, all the check-in dates. We'll do all calls, or the phone dialer. We did that throughout the summer last year, reminding parents, hopefully you're doing your packet, the check-in dates tomorrow, and then, you know, just to kind of keep the interest going.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Great, thank you. Thanks for pitching in. Middle school and high school. This is Norwood.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I have the pleasure of presenting for the middle school and high school. Our National Junior Honor Society ceremony was beautiful. I just want to congratulate the new members and the parents and the community for coming out and support the kids. It was really beautiful. Also, our middle school's honor ceremony will be May 29th at 8 a.m. So come out and support your kids. One of the things that we have, our conflict resolution person, she's a volunteer also, Ms. Gottlieben. She's going to throw our kids a ball in the middle school on June 2nd. They're going to have ball gowns, suits. I think dinner is going to be served. It's going to be at 6 p.m. So it's going to be a beautiful thing. She's been really working with the kids in the middle school. Just with the way that she interacts with the kids and talks to the kids, she was able to bring a lot of kids together, so she wants to celebrate that. So it's going to be interesting to see the kids in ball gowns, not just regular dresses, and she's going to have somebody to donate those. So, and I'm going to do the decorations for it. I like to decorate. It relieves my stress, so hopefully it's going to look really beautiful. So you all should come out and support the students. Summer programming is underway. The secondary campus is going to be on the bus this summer. Academics, social and sports program to support the kids, but also to support the community. We're going to have our May 31st, I believe it is. It's going to be the Harper Woods community picnic. So it's going to be held at Johnson's Park. So make sure that everybody come out and support that. I know Ms. Whiteman is working hard on that. As we move over to the high school seniors, it is crunch time for the seniors. Everyone has been supporting the seniors' parents. Make sure that you stay on your kids to focus on academics. We only have a couple of weeks to go. Their final exams are next Friday. So we want to make sure that, you know, I know Mrs. Mahomes' son is a senior, so we're just focusing on making sure that they know we support them, the administrative team, the teachers and counselors. So I'm really excited about commencement. It's going to be June 7th, 6 o'clock. The kids decided to vote to have it on the outside on the football field, so I know it's going to be really beautiful. So I'm excited about that. Our junior mock junior mock interviews with Chrysler this week was awesome. The executives talked about how prepared our kids were, how they were dressed. We had, it was a lot of kids. All our seniors participated, and just the level of participation and preparedness. They always speak highly of our kids. Anyone who comes into this building, the way that our kids interact with them, the ways they're prepared. They had their resumes, portfolios, and I was just really excited. It went really smoothly, so I just want to thank everybody and the parents for preparing their students for that. The GM Schools of Excellence Summer Internship Planning Meeting is currently taking place. Our students are discussing the projects that they're going to do this summer. So I'm kind of taking the hands off to see what they want to do, and then kind of getting the teachers to see what they want to see around the building. So our kids are working hard with that. Miss Casey and her band had a good concert a couple weeks ago. And one of the remarkable things that I saw not too long ago was the K-12 Evening of Fine Arts. We had art, music, food. I felt like I was at a concert like at Shane Park or something. It was over 200 people. I want to say it was about 300 people here. So to see the community come out, teachers, kids, it was just beautiful. And my son, he came and he just had a good time playing with the kids. So it was really nice. So I just want to thank everybody for coming out and supporting that. And again, parents, we are in our last 3 weeks of school. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page and focusing on making sure that our kids are ready for these last 3 weeks. But when the summertime hits in the spring, you know, our kids, they act a little different. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page and supporting them. So any questions? Anyone? Any questions?
I don't have anybody else.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to 8.0, the staff spotlight, and in particular 8.1, which is we're spotlighting Douglas Duchan, the retiring Beacon head custodian. Mr. Beadle, if you want to, oh, Mrs. Gottlieb, you're going to present this. Okay.
Ms. Gottlieb, please.
All right, I'm gonna have to keep this short, because I'm not gonna get misty. Dougie and I go back, Mr. Duchan and I go back 25 years at Beacon. I was a third-year kindergarten teacher, and I needed lots of help, like the time I had a mouse in my trash can that I wouldn't let him flush. I made him take it all the way out to Woodcrest, in which he let it go on the snow, and it ran right back under my porch hole. And he said, like I said, I should have flushed it. And let me live with that mouse somewhere in my room the rest of the day. So that's probably my greatest memory. I know that seems sad. And all the times that he has been dad, uncle,
Big brother.
brother to not only the children, but to our staff. He's put up with a lot of ladies in his life. He's lucky he's got the greatest lady at home. His wife Karen has helped support us. I can't tell you how many mornings he's doing the snow, calling me early. I said, don't call me before 9 on a snow day. I need to know. But I just, you know, I don't know what to say, Bud, but
It's all good, man. Don't worry
yeah,
about it.
yeah, so,
I might be leaving, but you're not gonna get rid of me.
so, thank you for all you've done for
Thanks.
us, Doug.
Can I say something if I may?
Please.
Mr. Beederwolf, board members, past and present, I can only say past because after 30 years, I've seen it all, let me tell you. But I feel like I should be thanking you people for allowing me to take care of my family by giving me 30 years worth of paychecks. And for that, I will be eternally grateful. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I will miss all you guys, even the people I don't really know, but I've met so many people, thousands of people, and like Jan said, I've been judge, jury, executioner, big brother. I've learned to tie shoes with my eyes closed. Some of the things that I've been asked to do, change flat tires in the parking lot. A certain individual here got a flat tire on the way to work, and I had to go down to I-94 and 8 Mile Road with the jack and change the tire. only to find out that the spare tire was flat. Her husband had to come and fix that. It was, you know, it's been 30 years and I can't believe I'm standing here. I still remember my first day when I started at Tyrone, you know, with Tony Kelkovich and these guys who's long since passed away, unfortunately, but just in the blink of an eye, man, take every minute and appreciate it, because I'll tell you what, it can be gone like that. So again, thank you, past and present board members, for giving me 30 years worth of good times.
Well, you're very welcome, and thank you
Thank
for
you.
30 years of service. I got a question. How many lost gloves and mittens do you think you found?
I've been keeping them all.
Oh.
Until I'm gone, I'm gonna get them all back. Thousands. Shoes.
Coats.
Some of the things I found up on the roof of the school, if I can just take 1 minute, I'm gonna just, this is great. I found a bicycle on the roof of the school one time. And I thought, how in the heck did a bicycle get on the roof of the school? Well, there was a gas relief line, went up the chimney, and some kid, I still remember who he was, I won't mention his name, because he turned out quite well afterwards, after the cops got done with him. He actually had the nerve to shimmy up this inch pipe, 2 stories to the top of that school, shimmied up, threw the rope down, his buddies tied the bicycle, and he heaved it up. So the cops, you know, they came and took the bike and everything, and at this point I didn't know who the kid was. But they found out shortly afterwards, because I went up on the roof with an 8-foot stick and I covered it with grease, that pole. So he got about 3/4 of the way up and got into the axle grease. And the cops were upset with him, but they were more upset with me because the back of their cruiser had grease in it. So that was a good story too. So no, it's been fun, and it's just, you know, it's just time to move on. And I think, you know, the guy that I've been working with, Mikey, he you know, he deserves a shot to take that daytime job. He knows the building, he knows the teachers, he knows the kids and the parents, and you know, they know him, and they're comfortable with the face that they know. So, not that I'm putting a stick in for Mikey, but I think Mikey will do just fine. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Dushan,
Yes, sir.
you need to pull your memento out, because that was specially selected for you. For some people, an apple just wouldn't do.
Okay. I forgot I was even holding the thing here. All right. 18% of attention.
First of its kind here in Harper Woods Schools, we believe.
Oh, great. It's not ticking. It's Christmas every day. Oh, that is awesome. Wow, that is incredible. You rock. Awarded to Doug Duchamp. I have my glasses there. Exceptional work and thank you. Okay, these are the wrong ones. For exceptional work and unwavering dedication to amazing 30 years of awesome service, Harper Woods School District. Thank you very much. That's awesome. That's so cool.
Indeed, baby. Way to go, Doug.
Thank you very much, folks. I deeply appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you. Take care, folks.
Good luck with your retirement.
Thank you. Can I take the cake with me?
We could do like 20 minutes of stand-up.
I'll bring you tomorrow. We can have snacks in the morning. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you guys in the morning. 5:30 a.m. I'll be there.
Thanks for coming out, Beacon.
Take care. Have a wonderful evening, folks. Thank you very much.
Cell phone man, flat tire, objective.
He is a character.
He wasn't talking about you with that mic, was he, Dave?
Yeah. That's something I wouldn't know when I was a kid. That was before his time.
All right, moving on here. That brings us to 9.0 on our agenda, which is public participation regarding action items. We do have several action items tonight. If any member of the public wishes to address the board, concerning those action items, please step up. Seeing no one, we'll move on to 10.0, which is the action items. The first one is, at 10.1, one-to-one K through 12 technology purchase recommendations. And that's at page 32 of your packet. And we have a recommended proposed motion which reads that the Board of Education approves the attached recommended one-to-one K through 12 technology purchases. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have support?
Support.
You want to give us an update, or who's going to do that, Mr. Peterwolf, or
I would be happy to if I might.
go right ahead?
Okay. So, as the Board of Education is well aware, under the leadership of Mr. Rabideau and the District Technology Committee, this has been a recommendation that has been in the works, if you will, for some time. There's a lot of history here. There's funding that the district received several years ago under the category of 99J. For the most part, at the Board of at the direction of the board, that nearly $400,000 in revenue has been spent on technology, including interactive whiteboards, document cameras, and so forth in every classroom. But there's 50,000 of those funds that have not yet been expended. Last summer, the board made a strategic decision when we were purchasing, I think it was about 468 perhaps Mac Air books. The board made a strategic decision to purchase those through a statewide consortium, and as a result of that, we got a nearly $50,000 rebate. And so we've talked about that, the opportunity to spend the same dollar and to invest in our schools twice. And so, given that there was a specific $75,000 in categorical funding available, the board then asked the question, what would the cost be to position the district in a place whereby it could go one-to-one, a computer for every student in every classroom in every one of our traditional schools from grades K through 12. And that's the recommendation that the Board of Education has before them this evening. To highlight some of those points, it would be an additional 240 iPads for Beacon, bringing the
Minis.
iPad minis, yes. Bringing the total of those and similar devices at Beacon, should you approve this recommendation, to 423. It would be an additional 120 iPad minis, again, an emphasis on additional for Tyrone, bringing their total to 263 of these and similar devices. Similarly, it would be 24 additional, again, emphasis on additional iPads for the for the middle school, bringing their total of those devices to 172, augmented by an additional 36 Mac Air books. And I love this component of the recommendation that Mr. Rabideau and the committee brought forward, because they envision there a transitional component. Mac Air books are the technological devices that are used at the high school, and so we begin to introduce those at the middle school level so that we can have a seamless and very comfortable transition for students. And as the board is aware, last year at this time, we were able to go one-to-one technology at the high school level, so that's already in place. This is a very progressive decision by the Board of Education. If the Board of Education approves this recommendation, we will be positioned as one of the, if not the, most contemporary district in Wayne County. I was thinking about this earlier today. I cannot say this as a statement of fact, but it is my belief that if the board approves this one-to-one K through 12 technology purchase, that we will be the first school district in Wayne County to have a computer available for every student in every classroom and in every school in traditional K through 12 programs. That's called being innovative. That's called bringing a contemporary learning environment to every student throughout their day. So it is a significant expenditure. We've indicated that there's $75,000 of what we call categorical, specifically identified funds. And in addition, should the board approve this recommendation, it will require an additional $169,000 of investment in our students and in our schools. And it's with great pleasure and excitement on behalf of the district's technology committee, led by Mr. Rabideau, supported by Mr. Hopkins and Mr. Williams. And frankly, there's a lot of excitement across the district about this recommendation.
It also includes the recommendation, and I know you didn't mention it because it's not as sexy. The carts.
Yes, carts and protective iPad cases to help ensure a longer life of these iPad minis and so forth as well. Yes, sir.
It charges them up. It allows for the synchronization of them.
It does, and the updating of them in a concurrent, highly effective type mannerism.
So part of that 169,000 is to pay for that aspect of the purchase.
That is correct.
That's not an additional money. It's all part of that 169 plus the categoricals.
Yes, sir.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
No, it's an exciting thing to do. I think it's important that, as technology evolves, we don't lose, sight of that and continue to augment it with, new technology. These are gonna still have a good useful life of, 4 or 5 years at least.
I think so.
Which really, if you look at the expenditure, it is considerable. But spread over a 4 to 5 year useful life, it's not, it's not that bad. And I hope, the boards of education to come, keep augmenting it and keep it up. I think that's important.
Agreed.
And just so everybody here understands, and even people that may see this later on cable, the board has spent a lot of time talking about this, weighing the pros and cons, talking to people on the committee. This was not a sudden decision. It was very well thought out, and just took a lot of thought and a lot of discussion at our workshops over several meetings. It wasn't just one-time discussion either. It was several times, because what would happen is the committee or Mr. Biederwolf would bring us some recommendations, and we'd say, okay, well, that sounds good, but we need more information. We'd send them back to the drawing board to get more information. We'd come back with the additional information, and then we'd send them back for even more information.
That's a model that's worked for us, though. It's worked for us in the past, and I think that it's resulting in a very solid recommendation here as well.
Something just came to mind. I don't know if we really talked about it. I know we've had the conversation regarding this building, but how is our infrastructure at the elementaries?
So we've got some plans in place in that regard. Mr. Rabideau's here and certainly could speak to that more specifically. But there's repeaters that will kind of create some greater density in the broadband width. If that answers your question, then okay. If not, I would defer to Mr.
No, I'm
Rabideau.
not looking for specifics. I just want to make sure somebody's monitoring it and we're making whatever, because we're increasing the devices, considerably. And like we've noticed in this building, the more we put, the more strain on the infrastructure. So.
No question. That is recognized and anticipated.
Which is all amazing, because this infrastructure isn't all that old.
No, but
it's
a lot
only
of devices using it at the same time.
But nobody anticipated. I mean,
Right.
just 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and it's just mushroomed. What we put in 10 years ago, everybody thought, oh, this is going to last us for a long time, and turns out nobody knew.
Yeah.
Nobody knew. But we got it covered.
And again, I do believe we will be the first district in Wayne County to be 1-to-1. Certainly at a K-12 level, it's very unique.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions or comments?
Just one, on the iPad cases, it doesn't really list how many, so is it, we're assuming it's, all of the iPad minis?
I just put in an estimate of $15 to $20 and kind of figured it out that way, based on the cases that we purchased. So it'll probably be slightly lower than that. I think 8,000 is what I put in there,
Mhm.
based on when we actually purchased it.
You're purchasing roughly about how many iPad cases?
Whatever the total is there, 240 plus
384.
plus 24.
In total, this recommendation is for 420 devices, of which 384 are iPads or iPad minis, plus the 36 Mac Airs. 420 additional devices for our students. It's huge.
And from what I understand, I don't know if Mr. Biederwolf or Mr. Rabideau can answer this, but our experience in the past with our previous purchases is that we've done very well with them in terms of durability. The kids are treating them well. From what I understand, we've had very little damage. Mostly it's just something infrequently something will malfunction, we get it repaired or replaced, but we're not seeing any kind of pattern of misuse or abuse to these devices.
You know, I mean, I'll go a little further into saying, you know, when we looked at the data, I was quite shocked. I don't want to jinx us, but I was very shocked.
And we landed on a decision some time ago. The administration landed on a decision which I would support, is that all of these devices remain here in the buildings, they don't go home. I was talking to somebody whose student goes to another district, and they have a lot of technology in this district. It was in Macomb County, and they let the kids take devices home. I'm not sure that's so safe. And when I pointed that out to that person, they kind of went, "Oh yeah, you know, you're right." So we've decided and landed on the decision the devices stay here, and I think it's proven to be a good, wise decision. So we're keeping them here. We're keeping a real close eye on them. We're maintaining them. We value them. So, anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. We have a motion to approve this purchase. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion passes 6-0.
Very, very exciting. Thank you, board.
Happy shopping, Mr. Dennis.
I'll be getting a little more gray hair, but I'm as enthusiastic as everybody else is.
Okay, 10.2, which is the recommendation for a waiver of what would have been paid for participation fees, and that is found on page 35. There is a recommended motion that the Board of Education approves the suspension of paid to participate fees for the 2014-15 school year. We have a motion.
Support.
Mr. Biederwolf, you want to just briefly bring us up to date on that?
I believe this is the third consecutive year that we have brought forward this recommendation. As the board would recall, if you roll the calendar back 3 or 4 years, extremely difficult financial times in the district, and at that time, it was recommended to the board that we, as many school districts still do, initiate a pay-to-participate process. In more recent years, our financial ledger has been better, and perhaps most importantly, our analysis of data at that time told us that we had fewer students participating in extracurricular and interscholastic athletic activities. And so 2 years ago, the board at that time made a decision to pilot a discontinuance of that fee. That was extended to include last year as well. And pending your reaction to this motion, It is our hope that there will be no pay-to-participate fees for athletic or extracurricular activities in Harperwood schools next year as well.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of suspension of pay-to-participate fees for the upcoming school year, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion is approved, 6-0.
Great news, thank you again.
And that brings us to 10.3, which is the contract for the updates and renovations to the Tyrone Kitchen. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education approves the contract with M.L. Shaner Construction Company in the amount of $48,200 for the remodeling of the Tyrone Elementary kitchen. Improvements include upgraded finishes, lighting, and plumbing, and new kitchen equipment. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have support?
Support.
Who's going to lead us through this, Mr. Beerwolf?
Here I would defer to Mr. Dennis, who has been leading this effort on the behalf of the district.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. As you guys recall, the last couple of years, money had been set aside from the food service fund to do a total upgrade of the Beacon kitchen, I'm sorry, the Tyrone kitchen. And we had originally planned on doing this last year, but there was some concern about the timings, working with the county and the state as far as approval and inspection, whatever. So we chose to defer the actual work till this year. We did, as you're aware, we did put the equipment in last year. So I've been working with Wald Construction. We put out the formal bid process in the newspaper and through the state website. And on last Thursday at 2 o'clock, we opened the bids, which are on page 37 in your book. There were 4 bids. 3 of the 4 bidders were present when we opened it. The bids for the base bid range from $42,400 to $82,000, which I, not being in that business, thought was quite a bit of a gap. I did request that Dan Critter and Jonathan Luce from Wald Architect interview the lowest bidder on Friday before they gave their final recommendation to confirm that indeed his bid was all-inclusive and was something he was going to stand by. They did do that work for me, and they did come across with that recommendation, as you'll see on page 38. So, in further investigation, we did finally get a hold of someone from the county. After all this, and after all the delays and everything, we did find out that, believe it or not, we're grandfathered in, and we do not have to have the county or the state come out and approve the work that we're being done. So they have estimated that it will be a 3-week project, so it should be done long before school begins next September. So I'm presenting that to you. I've got the actual hard copies of the bid in my office, should anyone need to see those, but the chart on page 37 summarizes the bids.
Did Wald have any familiarity with the lowest bidder?
They do. They've worked with 3 of the 4 builders quite often, and again, that's one of the reasons I had them do the follow-up interview with both their experience and to confirm that everything was all inclusive in the bid.
So they're not strangers?
Absolutely not. No.
Do they have an estimated start date?
I'm assuming you guys are going to approve tonight, I'll let Wald know tomorrow. They'll send out, get the formal document signed, and I told them I want them to start the day after school ends to make sure it's done. But now that a little bit of the red tape has been removed, nevertheless, it will be done well in advance.
Did you get that in writing, that we don't need to have them come out?
Well,
Inspect it.
I'm relying on the expertise of the Wald folks that,
Okay.
we do have names, and I did have them document the date and the time of the people they spoke to, so I guess in essence, the answer to your question is yes.
Okay, good. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Yes, you said you want to pretty much get started as soon as the work should be completed this summer.
No, they said it should take no longer than 3 weeks. And Dan Critta, who's the lead architect on this, is well aware that I want this done. So it will be done.
And we haven't mentioned it at all, but Chartwell's has been involved in this as well.
They have absolutely been involved with this. They have had in addition to Wald's Kitchen folks, Chartwell's Kitchen folks have also been involved in not only the equipment purchase, but in the design and the layout. Both the corporate staff and our own supports, our own on-hand staff, because they're the ones that are gonna be using the equipment. So we wanted to make sure not only was it up to date, but it was functional to the point where it's gonna serve the kids best.
Okay, sounds
And just
good.
as a slight addendum to this, Brian and I, Corbett from Chartwell's, filled out a grant application today for $25,000 for pieces of equipment at all three of the kitchens. It's a grant that just became available today, so I would say we've got a pretty good chance of getting that also.
Wow.
So that'll be equipment above and beyond what you see, the scope that you're seeing in front of you.
Is that 25,000 total or for
Total,
each?
yes.
Or for
No,
each?
it's per district. I read it twice. It's per district. It's equipment that all three buildings can use.
Okay, well, we'll cross our fingers on that
Yes.
one. Okay, we'll call the question. All in favor of approving the contract with ML Shaner Construction Company in the amount of $48,200 for the remodeling of the Tyrone Elementary kitchen, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion is approved, 6-0.
I will notify them tonight. Thanks, you guys.
Great. Okay, now, 10.4, the RISA preliminary 2014-15 budget, which is at page 39 in your packet. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education supports the Wayne County Regional Educational Service Agency General Fund Operating Budget Resolution for the 2014-15 school year. Do we have a motion?
Motion?
Do we have support?
Support.
Okay. You want to fill us in on this, Mr. Peterwolf?
Well, just briefly, this is an annual consideration that comes before the Board of Education. I believe that it is law that the Wayne County budget, in addition to being approved by the Wayne County RISA Board of Education, must also come before each of its constituent boards of education across the county. And so that is the information that you have before you with this motion and the decision. I would just tell you that I know from my perspective, I believe Wayne County RISA to be a good partner to Harperwood Schools. When I joined the district nearly 5 years ago, it was my belief that we were somewhat underutilizing some of their services. I know that they're important to me and my leadership. I know that they're important to Mr. Dennis and the work that he's accomplishing in his office, and to the work of Mr. Rabideau and many other staff members across the district as well. I also know that there's been some recent concern, and in my opinion justifiably so, relative to some decisions that have been made countywide, in particular this concept of an enhancement millage. But I wouldn't put that responsibility at the feet of Wayne RISA. I'll just simply say again, in my opinion, they are good partners and strong supporters of Harperwood Schools.
Any questions or comments? I have one. Mr. Beerwolf, it's come to my attention that Wayne RISA is intending to launch an information campaign in support of this countywide enhancement millage.
That is my understanding as well. RISA Superintendent Wygant spoke to that with superintendents from across the county on last Friday. I think I included that in my update to the Board of Education on last Friday as well, and it is a significant planned expenditure. He characterized it as a planned expenditure anticipated to be between $150,000 and $175,000. As per the campaign laws, that would be an informational campaign helping constituents to understand what an enhancement millage is, not an advocacy-based campaign. But I think the answer to your question is yes. at a cost of either $150,000 to $175,000.
And is that included in this proposed budget?
You know, I asked that question specifically because I was curious about that myself, and it was indicated that it was not part of this budget, that this was developed in advance of that decision, and it would be embedded in budget amendments. So it is not, as I understand it, embedded in the recommendation before you.
And when they do a budget amendment, they don't come back to the districts asking for approval.
I do not believe that they do, Mr. Silver, no.
So that's one way of getting around the districts. I'm just gonna put it bluntly. I mean, they don't put it in the proposed upcoming budget. They know that they're gonna spend it, but they don't put it in the budget and just say, oh, we'll fix that later when the districts are no longer involved in the approval process. I can't support that. Anybody else? Any questions or comments?
Yes, what happens when school districts don't support the budget as
So certainly all of that is reported to Wayne Risa. I don't know this factually, Ms. Williams, so I do apologize. My belief is that if boards that represent 51% of the students enrolled in the county, that they would have to revise and seek and bring forward then a revised motion to the local boards. I do apologize, I can't say that factually, but I believe that that is the structure that is operational here.
Do you know how many students are in Lake County?
I want to say,
I know we had it a couple weeks ago, I don't remember the number.
I want to say around 250K, Mr. King, but I'm not certain.
Okay, anybody else have any questions or comments? I see that it is characterized as a motion, but I see that there's a listing here for a roll call vote.
Yeah, because it says motion to support the budget resolution.
Oh, okay,
So it's a resolution.
it's really part of a resolution, okay. So we will need a roll call on this?
Okay, Mr. Selburn?
No.
I vote no. Ms. Quaker?
Yes.
Ms. Menino is absent. Ms. Mahone?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Burnett?
No.
So that is,
The motion fails.
fails
Oh,
3-3.
really? Transparent.
And, you know, as you talk to Mr. Wygen, it's not that we don't see them as a partner, but I share Mr. Selburn's concerns, you know that. I don't like it, it doesn't pass the smell test.
I believe that I have a requirement to kind of give them the underlying rationale, so I will speak to concern about the enhancement millage as the predominant concern.
No, it's the advertising campaign. For me, it's not the millage itself, it's the advertising campaign and not embedding it in this
Yeah,
budget.
It's like it's not transparent, the budget, it should be.
It's not transparent.
I mean, it's a considerable expenditure, $200,000. I mean, when you break it down per kid, it's not a lot, but still, $200,000, that's a couple of bodies.
That's,
All year long.
there's money not in the classroom. But it's the transparency issue that really gets to me. Unless we've missed something. If we have, he can let you know and we can reconsider
But
it.
see, here's the
Understood.
thing, if we missed it, it's because it wasn't fair, or we should not have missed it, it should have been obvious.
Well, yeah.
And Mr. Beardwolf asked the right questions
Right.
when they met. He asked the right questions. He came back
In
with,
anticipation of knowing, you know, what our concerns are.
So- he's relying on them for the answers. That's why you asked them the questions. So,
I was a little surprised at the amount.
that brings us to 10.5, which is a first reading of bylaws and policies and adoption. These were included in our last packet, which I'm sure everybody still has. I will read them off by number. It's bylaw 0140. Although I think I recall somebody pointing out that it actually might be 0141.
No, no, it's 140.
Is it 140?
It's a change to the bylaw. There's, a change to the law. It's 140.
Okay, that's all I need. All right, and then as to policies, 1400, 1630.01, 1662, 2431.01, 3430.01, 4162, 4430.01, 5112, 5517.01, 6107, 6420, 6470, 6520, 8120, 8142, 8390, 8405, 8510, and 9160. This is a first reading. And the motion is that the Board of Education approves the first reading and adoption of those foregoing policies and bylaws. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have support?
Support.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay, hearing none. And this is a first reading. There will be a second reading next month. It requires 2 readings and 2 approvals before we do adopt these. All in favor of the first reading and adoption, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes 6-0. And that brings us to subcommittee reports. Any chair of any committees have any information, any news that they want to convey to the board? As chair of the policy committee, much to my dismay, I learned that we have yet another set of proposed policies that we have to sit down and review. That what we did, the ones we recently did, that we just did a first reading on, actually go back to the fall, and we now have the spring policies that we have to go over.
I do, however, have good news.
Yes.
Having done a first review of those update recommendations, it looks as though it's smaller than has typically been the case.
And we still have a couple that are lingering from the fall.
I'll have to review.
We're waiting for administration recommendations on those. Any other committees have any kind of an update? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to 12.0, which is the report of the superintendent. Take it away, Mr. Biederwolfer.
Just, I just kind of made a list. Some very exciting things occurring across our district, and clearly, the first of them being that we believe we will be the first school district in Wayne County to be one-to-one technology, a computer for every student, as schools open next fall. That's just a great place to be. We have expanded programs. We have our middle school track program, middle school kids out on the track enjoying that opportunity for the first time this spring. Expanded summer programs yet again this summer, and oh, by the way, we are engaging in conversations about bringing forward a recommendation for both a high school boys and girls swimming program as well. Hot off the presses as of, I think it was last Thursday, we were informed by Wayne State University that their grant application to the Michigan Department of Education for what's called the C2 pipeline, and I don't know what C2 stands for, but I know what it's about. It's about health occupations careers, medical-based careers. It's sponsored by the Wayne State University College of Nursing. And so Wayne State University staff members will be here on our campuses, in our schools, working with our middle school and our high school students in support of one of the legs of our smaller learning community, medical careers, as well as math and engineering. One of 15 schools across Wayne County to be participating in that high engagement, hands-on new program in the area of supporting students who have an interest in medical careers. Our student achievement is up. We've gotten our draft back from our recent advanced ed district accreditation recommendation. We're on reasonably solid financial footing. We've got increased parental involvement. We're hearing our principals talk about staff members extending their work calendars and coming in the summer for professional development activities dedicated to further strengthening their craft and better positioning us to bring the right curriculum and the right learning experiences forward to kids. It's a pretty exciting time here in Harper Woods schools. Thank you.
I got one question, Mr. Beal. The C2 program, the commitment, is that 1 year or multi-year?
It's a multi-year, Mr. Selburn. I want to say it's 5 years. It might be 3, but it's definitely a multi-year commitment.
So minimum of 3.
I believe so, yes.
Great.
And will those services or courses be offered during the school time or after?
It's an extended day program, and there'd be minimal cost to the district. I mean, some facility costs, some supporting costs, but in terms of the materials, the staff, all of those kinds of things, all funded through this grant through Wayne State University and the Department of Education.
Anybody else? Okay. That brings us to 13.0 on our agenda, which is public participation. If any members of the public wish to address the board, please step up and identify yourselves and let us know what's on your mind.
This Jade Reed, my children attend Harper Middle School, and I know y'all tired of seeing me come up here and I don't have nothing good to say, but ain't nothing, no progress move fast enough for me when I make complaints. We still having problems with the same staff as usual. I reported something to Mr. Beadwolf Friday about an incident happened no sooner after I walked out. Major still have a problem with this lady.
And we met yesterday, correct?
Yeah. And we had a problem today. So evidently you're not pushing to figure out what her problem is, as far as why she keep doing stuff with these students and giving them a hard time. She giving them is not being towards what's going on in the classroom. To me, like I put in that letter that I sent you, it's like you slapping somebody on their hand as if they're a kid and they go back and doing something over and over and over again. I brought a copy of the girls' reports from where they were listed. Every time I get reports, they supposed to be such bad kids. I've never seen grades like this when it comes to my kids. You got the 2 bad grades coming from the same 2 teachers I've been complaining about still, and here it is a whole nother year where these grades supposed to be up by now. And this, when anybody want to see them, feel free. Y'all can see these reports because she don't make D's and F's. She don't do E's. You see E's on her stuff, and she sits up 1, 2 o'clock in the morning still, as well as her twin doing homework. But Mr. Beadwolf is not pushing to get on his staff to constantly keep doing the stuff that she keep doing continuously. I don't appreciate your staff keep arguing with my daughter. And I've said it numerous of times, and every time I come up here and I'm seeing it, she getting worse and worse and worse. Today she decides to want to argue with her again. Y'all need to put to her and let her know that it's a difference between the staff and the dope. She took it upon herself when I had a meeting with Ms. Norwood and her to sit up and engage in an argument in my face with my daughter. This ain't never stopped. It getting worse and worse to the point they get suspended. And I'm, like I tell y'all before, I'm sick of telling y'all I'm sick of them. I feel like I'm coming to a casino game and we gambling and I'm the only one getting bluffed because you're saying, oh, okay, you gonna win, but yet when I turn my back, it's just whatever. I don't feel like hearing that we gonna go to something else. When yet they suffering. So that being said, I haven't got no good progress. The only thing I got was a cold, and that's from air conditioner being put on her Friday. And she getting sick and spreading around the house. So I guess that should be good because I'm catching from my own baby. But I'm asking y'all to push Mr. Beadwolf because he apparently not understanding why I'm up here raising so much heck and why I'm coming up here all the time to be on him about getting on his staff because apparently she can't get who her boss is and where her position is because she's walking around as if she's the boss and she do what she want to do. And that's my problem with what's going on today. So hopefully y'all can get to his head that he need to get on, not her, but the person under her who I keep explaining the problem with to let her know what her position is. and to realize that them are kids and them are not an adult to keep sitting up there having arguments with her. Thank y'all for taking time out to hear that.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Ms. Red.
You wanna speak?
Okay, that brings us to 14.0, which is matters of interest to board members. Any board members have anything that they want to address?
Oh, I do, because you caught me off guard there. I do want to talk about Girls on the Run that me and Miss Morrison did on Sunday with our girls. So there were about 15 girls from Tyrone, mixed between the 4th and the 6th grade. And there were 3 staff that every Tuesday and Thursday stayed with that group of girls till 5 o'clock in the afternoon to prepare them for that run. And I think Miss Morrison probably walked as much as I did in that 5K. It was my first, but the most refreshing part about that was coming down the finish line and to see other staff members from Tyrone that had nothing to do with the Girls on the Run program cheering our girls on. So with that, I say thank you to those staff members who took time out on their Sunday just to come and support those 15 girls who had worked so hard and accomplished that 5K on Sunday. It was very refreshing to see. Even staff with their children had brought their children. It was a huge event in downtown Ferndale. There had to be 6,000 people there. It was not easy to get to or park, but they came and they supported their students, and I noticed it, so I know the girls did for sure. So thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, hearing nothing, we're adjourned. It's 8:17.